Hello students, today we are going to study about the eye, which is a part of sense organ. We have already discussed about the ear as a hearing and balancing organ. We have studied in detail the structural details of the ear. In today's class we will discuss about eye, structure of eye, accommodation of eye, and how it helps in forming the visual image, how image is formed, or what are the defects of eye. So everything we are going to discuss today. Let's start with few basic things about eye. And the first thing is orbit. Orbit is the part. Orbit is the part in the human skeleton. When we see the skull part of the human skeleton, and especially the facial part, there is deep sockets are present in that skull area. This deep sockets, in these deep sockets the eyeballs are located. So orbit, these deep sockets are termed as orbit, and in these orbits eyeballs are located. Six muscles are present which help the eyeball to rotate, so that rotation is with the help of six muscles. Next is eyelids. Eyelids are both upper and lower eyelids are movable. Role of eyelid is to when we see that something is coming near close to our eyes, these eyelids, they close the eye or they shut the eye opening, so that it prevents entry of any particle, any foreign particle inside the eye. So it is kind of protection of eye. Eyelids are for protection. In the eyelids, eyelashes are present. Eyelashes again prevent entry of larger particles inside the eye. So this is the function. Next is eyebrows. Eyebrows are thick hairs present over the eye, and these eyebrows, they are having a specific function. They are not just for beautification, they are having specific function in the body, and that is protection of eye. And they prevent the raindrops and trickling perspiration to get inside the eye. So this is again a kind of protection of the eye. Eyebrows are for protection. Next is tear glands. Tear glands are also known as lacrimal glands, and they pour their secretion with the help of 6 to 12 ducts, and these ducts, they pour the secretion in the eye. The tear is having specific function in the eye, and the functions we'll discuss after this. Here, these red areas, these are the areas of tear glands, and with the help of these ducts, it pours its secretion in the eye. So functions of tear. Tear plays an important role in the eye, and what are these functions, or what are its role inside the eye? So let's discuss. First is lubricate the surface of eye. It acts as a lubricant, or it keeps the eye moist, eyeball moist. Second point is it washes away the dust particles. So if accidentally any particle enters inside the eye, so the tear, it washes away these dust particles, or even the germs, help in killing the germs. It contains an enzyme, that is lysozyme. Lysozyme is antibacterial in action, and this lysozyme, it kills the bacteria and germs. Next, and the most important function of tear is it communicates emotions. When we are very happy, when we are sad about something, so all these feelings, and it is a way to communicate our emotions. So to express our emotion, tears play an important role. Now about the detailed structural arrangement, about the different layers. This we'll study with the help of a model and a chart paper, also a diagrammatic representation. So with the help of this also, I have tried to simplify all the terms. Before this, let's discuss about the different layers present in the eyeball, and the outermost covering, which is the conjunctiva. A single layer of epithelium, that is the transparent epithelium, it covers the eyeball, or it covers the complete structure. the infection in conjunctiva and the infection in this transparent covering results in a disease known as conjunctivitis, that is redness of eye. So here this is about the conjunctiva, the covering a single layer of epithelium, transparent epithelium. Eyeball is having three different parts: the sclerotic layer, choroid, and the retina. Sclerotic layer is the outermost layer, choroid is the middle part, and retina is the innermost part of the eye, which is responsible for the vision. So let's start with the sclerotic layer. Sclerotic layer is the outer layer. It is tough fibrous tissue. It is made up of tough fibrous tissue. It is white in color, and the part of sclera which covers the lens area, which is projected towards outside, and it covers the colored part of the eye. So that is termed as cornea. So sclerotic layer which covers the colored part of the eye is cornea. Cornea is a part of sclerotic layer. Next is choroid. Choroid is the middle layer which is richly supplied with the blood vessels. It provides nourishment to the eye. It is having melanin. Melanin pigment is present inside the eye because it prevents light rays from getting reflected back or getting scattered inside the eye. So that reflection and scattering of light is prevented by melanin pigment in the eye or in the choroid layer. Choroid expands to form ciliary body. Ciliary bodies, it holds the lens, that convex lens which is present in the eye and which is responsible for the image formation. It is held by the ciliary muscles which is the extension of ciliary body. Iris is also an extension and color of the eye. If the eye color is black, blue or green, so that color of the eyeball, the color of the eye is just because of color of the iris. So this eye color is due to color of iris. Pupil. Inside the iris, an opening is present and that opening is termed as pupil. Widening of pupil or constriction of pupil adjusts the amount of light entering inside the eye. So that amount of light entering inside the eye is controlled by the constriction and widening of muscles of the pupil, muscles of the iris, and in the iris radial muscles and circular muscles are present. Radial muscles are responsible for the widening of pupil. Circular muscles are responsible for the constriction of pupil. About retina we'll discuss after that. Before discussing about retina, all the probable questions from these two parts and the topics that we have discussed. The first question, it could be, what is the role of eyebrow? What is the role of eyelashes, eyelids in the eye, in the structure of eye? So their role as protection, what kind of protection they provide to eye, that you have to mention in a single line answer. About the structures that we have, what is orbit? Orbit is a socket in which eye is located. Next question would be, write down the functions of tear, or even they can show you an image or an image could be given. What is the function of the secretion from these glands or secretion from the lacrimal gland? Secretion from the lacrimal gland. Then next question would be, what is conjunctivitis or how it is caused? So conjunctivitis is inflammation in the conjunctiva, that is conjunctivitis, and redness of eye. Next, name the three layers of the eyeball. Next question, what is cornea? So cornea is the part of choroid which covers the colored part. Then name a layer which is made up of tough fiber. Name a layer of eye which is made up of tough fibrous tissue. Questions related to choroid. Name a layer which is made up of, which contains blood vessels or which is richly supplied with blood vessels, or name the layer which provides nourishment. So related to all these terms, questions could be formed. What is the role of melanin in eye? Which part is responsible for color of eye? So sometimes students they write melanin is responsible for the color of eye. No, for the color of eye, iris is responsible. Color of iris is responsible for the color of eye. Melanin is responsible for preventing the light rays from getting reflected back or scattering. That is the role of melanin. Iris, iris is an extension of dash. So like fill in the blanks it could be asked. Iris is an extension of, then fill in the blanks you can write it is an extension of ciliary body. Choroid is an extension of choroid. Then here ciliary body, it is an extension, it is also an extension of choroid. So related to this, fill in the blanks type of questions could be asked. Related to color, which part of eye is responsible for color of the eye? That is iris. Radial, which muscle is responsible for, or the muscles that control widening and constriction of pupil? So then radial muscles are responsible for widening of pupil, and circular muscles are responsible for constriction of pupil. So all the probable questions related to this topic. Next is retina. Retina is the innermost layer. This layer is sensitive to light. It contains sensory cells, and the sensory cells are rods and cones. Rods are, the name is just because the inner ends are rod-like. Cones, the inner ends are cone-shaped. So this conical and rod-like. So the names are rods and cones. Rods are sensitive to dim light. They contain a pigment that is rhodopsin or visual purple. So the pigment present in rods is rhodopsin or visual purple. It is the rods are distributed all throughout almost throughout the retina. So at certain places cones are present, but mostly rods are present. And next is the cones. Cones are sensitive to bright light. They contain a pigment that is iodopsin or visual violet, and cone cells are there confined to yellow spot. Now what is yellow spot? Or one more term is there, blind spot. So this we'll discuss just now the yellow spot and blind spot. Before telling you about the yellow spot and blind spot, let me explain you the structure in detail with the help of a model and graphical chart paper in which diagrammatic representation of the eye is given. After that we'll discuss about yellow spot, blind spot and their accommodation of the eye in the light. Now students, this is a model or a structure that I have made to, and I have just tried to simplify the structure or to make you understand the structure of eye. So this is a single transparent layer which covers the eye, and that is conjunctiva. This complete white portion is the sclera, and as you can see inside the eye, round structure is present. That round area is the pupil, which is and the green appearance of this eye is, or the color of the eye is green due to iris. So let's as you have seen in the thumbnail, it is what's behind the pupil. So let's open it, and before this opening, these red structures, these are the blood vessels which is supplied to the second layer, that is the choroidal layer, and choroid is supplied with richly supplied with blood vessels, and it provides nourishment. These these structures, it is just a symbolic representation of the optic nerves which arises from the eyeball, and it sends the messages to the brain. So let's open it to make that what is inside or what is behind the pupil. So let me take it out. This structure as this one, when we see from this, it is the it is the thin layer or the transparent layer, and behind this the pupil. If you can see this structure, the pupil, it is the light ray, it enters through the conjunctiva into the, and this iris, it controls the amount of light entering into the eye. Then it enters into a fluid, that is aqueous, this chamber. This chamber is the aqueous chamber, which is in front of the lens. So aqueous, the light rays then enters into the, after entering into the cornea, then iris, through the pupil, it enters into the aqueous chamber. Next is the lens. Now this lens is a convex lens which is held with the help of ciliary muscles. As you can see, this lens is held with the help of ciliary muscles. Now in the structure, the white color, it is for the sclera. Inside this is the second layer, which is the choroid, and the yellow layer is the retina. Now let me remove this one also. With this ciliary body and lens. Lens is the biconvex lens. Here, two spots I have shown. This is just symbolic. Yellow spot is also termed as macula lutea. This spot is the place. This in the complete retina, rods are distributed all over the retina. At some places cone cells are present, which is sensitive to bright light. At this place, at the yellow spot, number of cones are much more, and largest number of cones are present. So this area is the area of brightest vision. This area, the black spot that you can see, this is blind spot, from where the nerve cells they arise, and the optic nerves, when they leave the eyeball, at that area no sensory cells are present, and which shows the area of no vision. So that is area of no vision or blind spot. So this is all about the structure of eye. With the help of this I have explained. Now let me explain you this with the help of a chart. One thing I forgot to tell you, that the chamber which is in front of the lens is the aqueous chamber. The chamber which is behind this lens is the vitreous chamber. So now with the help of this, let's see. This is the structure of eye. The blue layer is the sclera, then red one is the choroid, and the innermost yellow part is the retina. This portion, it shows that optic nerve, they arise from the nerve. All the nerve, they arise from the sensory cells, that are located in the yellow region. From there they take the messages and they combine together to form the optic nerve. So this spot is the blind spot. In this area, in the vitreous chamber, yellow spot is present here, and that yellow spot is responsible. It is just horizontal axis. This area is for the yellow spot, and just lateral to this is the blind spot. Now here, this outermost covering is the conjunctiva. Next to this layer, the transparent layer, it is the cornea. These structures, they are the ciliary body or ciliary muscles, and the muscles of the iris. This is the lens. Iris, it controls this opening, that is the pupil. So pupil, the widening or constriction of a pupil, is adjusted with the help of ciliary muscles, and then the light enters from the conjunctiva, then to the cornea, then to the pupil. From here it enters into the lens, then into aqueous chamber to lens, then to the vitreous chamber, which is this one. So this is about the structure of eye. It is very important, because based on this the question could be asked, label A, B, C, and the detailed description could be asked from about A, B, C. What is the role of A, B or C in the structure of eye? So the questions could be formed with about all these three, about the lens, what type of lens is present, what is the role of this one, that is the ciliary muscles, or what is the role of iris. So about all this related to the diagram, various questions could be formed. Next one is the upper one was the cross section of eye. This one is the accommodation of eye. That accommodation is that what is the position of pupil or iris, or about the lens, what is the what type of accommodation or adjustment is there for forming the image. So if the light ray comes from the distant place, then this lens is is thin in structure, it is thin and elongated, and the ciliary muscles are in relaxed state. So the normal condition of eye is like this, but if we have to see nearby object, then the accommodation is somehow like this one. So to see a nearby object, this lens, it becomes thickened. So the lens structure, as you can see here, the lens is thick. It is held by the suspensory ligaments, and there is a tension in the suspensory ligament. It is stretched. So that stretch or tension in the suspensory ligament adjusts the thickening of the lens. From here, light rays enter into the all the transparent structures, that is the conjunctiva, cornea, then the iris, all the transparent structures, it enters through the aqueous humour, it enters into the lens, from where it starts converging. All these transparent structures, it helps in converging the light rays, and the lens again it converges it more, and after converging it forms an image at the retina. The image formed is real and inverted image. So this is about the accommodation of eye. The yellow spot, as we have seen, we had a look at what is behind the pupil. So we have seen what is behind the lens, the chambers, the retina, sclera. So all, I hope that you have understood all the structure. The structure of eye is clear to you, and few terms and their functions. Yellow spot, I have already explained about yellow spot. It is also termed as macula lutea. So macula lutea, it is the region of yellow spot. It is the region of brightest vision. Why it is region of brightest vision? Because the maximum number of sensory cells are present here. And where it is located? It is located in the retina, and at the location is somehow, if we take the horizontal axis, so at the center of the horizontal axis of the eyeball it is present. So yellow, about the yellow spot, this question is often asked, what is macula lutea, where it then you have to describe, or you have to write about that. It is the brightest vision area because of maximum number of cells, and it is located at the center of the horizontal axis of the eyeball. Next is blind spot. Just opposite of this, it is a region of no vision. No vision because no sensory cells are present, as the optic nerves arise from the eyeball, and from this area optic nerves arise leading to the brain. So this area is not having sensory cells, and this area is termed as blind spot. Next is the aqueous chamber and vitreous chamber. Aqueous chamber, the area of the eye just in front of the lens, is the aqueous chamber, that is between cornea and lens. The area between cornea and lens is the aqueous chamber, and it contains watery liquid which keeps the lens moist. It also protects the lens from physical shock. It helps in refraction of light. So these are the functions of aqueous humor, that is the fluid inside the aqueous chamber. Watery fluid which keeps the lens moist, protection from any physical shock, and refraction of light. All these are the functions. Next is the vitreous humor. Vitreous humor is the fluid which is present after the lens, that between lens and the retina. So you have to specifically mention the location. So always I am insisting on these things, that location and function. So aqueous humor between cornea and lens, vitreous humor between lens and retina. So this is the location, and vitreous humor is the fluid, jelly-like thicker fluid. It helps in keeping the shape of the eyeball. So the shape of the eyeball is retained because of vitreous humor, and it protects the retina and its nerve endings. So protection, again here protection of retina and nerve endings is with the help of vitreous humor. So mostly the structures are protective in nature, except retina, which is the area of vision, which is the area of image formation, as it contains sensory cells. So we had a look what is behind the pupil. We have tried to discuss about all the terms which is related to the structural details. In the next class or in the next video, I'll explain you how do we see, or what type of accommodation or what type of adjustment is in pupil for observation. Then about near and distant objects we have already discussed, but a type of accommodation and basically the defects, because from that section also the questions are asked related to the defects of vision or defects in vision and type of correction, what we can do to correct the defects. So all this we will discuss in the next class. Hope you have understood the term.